fresh reaction tonight from Hamilton officials after a judge sided with the city in a charter-based legal challenge that could have cost the taxpayer nearly $500,000. Earlier this year, 14 people with help from a local legal clinic tried to sue the city for enforcing a bylaw that prevents people from staying in parks overnight. Roger Collins joins us in studio with the details on this. Roger.
Matt, the judge presiding over this case cut through a myriad of legal arguments and in very plain language says the city has every right to enforce its own rules and has done so in a way that hasn't impeded on anyone's rights.
Justice Ramsey's ruling acknowledges the complexity of the homelessness crisis, and it also recognizes our ongoing efforts to address it through evolving encampment protocols, enhanced and increased resources, and meaningful community collaboration.
After 3 days of legal arguments, Ontario Supreme Court Justice J.A. Ramsey has ruled that the City of Hamilton did not violate anyone's charter-protected rights while enforcing its municipal parks bylaw.
I believe it's equally important that we ensure our parks and public spaces are welcoming, they're accessible, and they're safe for all Hamiltonians to enjoy.
Earlier this year, a lawsuit was launched against the city by 14 people who were or had been homeless. They were seeking damages to the tune of $455,000 after being subjected to the city's encampment ban and subsequent evictions that took place. They argued that their rights had been breached because they were kept from staying overnight when there was nowhere else to go, and that they were forced to pack up and move come the daytime. But yesterday, both arguments were shot down. In the 15-page ruling, Justice Ramsey says he found no evidence that anyone was ever made to move during the night, and says being told to move isn't a violation either. He says the court holds the moral compass that is often the only protection for the most vulnerable, and says, quote, I observe that the most vulnerable include not only the homeless, but also the elderly person and the child who wants to use a sidewalk or a city park without tiptoeing through used needles and human feces. It's a ruling that Ward 5 Councillor Matt Francis says has left him feeling vindicated and ready to fight to remove the city's current encampment protocol.
We're going to restore our parks back for our residents, our taxpayers, our children, and get the crime and drugs out of our parks once and for all.
The city says it's steadfast in its mission to tackle its encampment issue.
What our city is doing is trying to get to a place where we no longer have tents in parks. People need to know that that's exactly what we're trying to achieve.
However, a delay is holding back one aspect of that plan, opening a temporary shelter site near Barton and Tiffany.
The latest update from the city, which was posted yesterday, says that the fencing, waterline testing, and asphalt paving are all complete. And now that there's a community center on site, the only thing we're waiting for is the micro-shelters.
The next update is set for January 6th, when the city hopes to have the hydro poles set in, internal fencing begun, and get the water main tied in.
As for the delivery of the micro-shelters, the city expects them to arrive in Toronto by Boxing Day and be delivered to the Barton and Tiffany lands by January 4th.